Film begins with a child's mysterious voice. He was saying, 2 years ago in Maybrook, Pennsylvania. At exactly 2:17 a.m., 17 children ran from their homes, and then no trace of them was found. The surprising thing was that these 17 children were from the same school, Maybrook Elementary. In the same class. In the class, there were 18 children total, and now only one remained, Alex. Next day, when the class teacher, Justine Gandy, arrived in her class, only Alex was sitting there. Justine froze for some moments. Now the parents of the missing children fell upon Justine. Everyone held her responsible. The police investigation began. Questioning of Justine first, then Alex, but both had the same answer. We know nothing. The police didn't have any solid clue besides one thing. Each child at exactly 2:17 a.m. ran from his house and came outside. In some houses, the safety alarms rang at that same time. In some CCTV footage, it was clearly shown. Children are running. On the dark road, their style of running was strange, almost like the Naruto run. Hands behind, head down, as if pulling towards some invisible call. The story now moves forward from Justine's perspective. In the school meeting, all the parents surrounded her, but the school principal, Andrew Madden, stood by her side. He says in all this, Justine had no hand. Still, one father, Archer Graff, does not stay quiet. He explodes at Justine and gets angry at her. At night, with a heavy heart, Justine goes to a shop to get alcohol. There she meets a drugist named James, who begs her for money. Justine ignores him and quickly returns home because she was afraid a parent might attack her in anger, as parents also threatened her from unknown numbers. The next morning, when Justine approaches her car, her heart freezes. Someone had painted "Witch" on the car's hood. That night, Justine goes to a bar, and a little later, Paul arrives. He's a police officer she has an old connection with. They talk about the recent incident, the missing children, the fear spreading through the town, and the questions that have no answer. Slowly, the conversation turns to alcohol. Justine was already pretty drunk, but she persuades Paul to keep drinking too. After a few drinks, the mood suddenly shifts into a quiet silence. They spend the night together, but the odd thing was that Paul was married. His wife's name was Donna, which Justine also knew. Still, they become intimate. In fact, it wasn't the first time. Their relationship had been going on for some time. The next day, Justine follows Alex again. She tries to talk to him. He runs away. Justine doesn't give up. Her restlessness had now turned into an obsession. She goes straight to Alex's house. She knocks on the door. There's no answer. Even after repeated knocking, there's no sign of life inside. Then her gaze falls on the windows. Thick paper was pasted on every window, as if to completely hide what was going on inside the house. She sees a small gap in one window and, out of curiosity, gently peeks inside. What she saw shook her to the core. Alex's parents were sitting on the sofa, but they weren't. They were frozen. Their faces had no expression, eyes wide open like they were in some kind of trance. Like living statues. Justine's hands started trembling. She moves back, breathing heavily, and quickly grabs her phone to call Principal Marcus. Her voice was filled with panic. "Marcus, you need to check on Alex's house. I don't know what's happening, but it's something really wrong there. At least see if Alex is safe." That night, Justine sits in her car, surrounded by the darkness outside of Alex's house. She wanted to see if anything weird happened. Slowly, the night gets deeper. Silence spreads all around, and while waiting, Justine dozes off. Then, the house door slowly creaks open. A figure emerges in the dark. It was Alex's mom. Holding a pair of scissors, her face had no expression, completely inhuman. With a strange, unnatural walk, she approaches Justine's car. Then she slowly opens the car door, gets right next to the sleeping Justine, and cuts off a piece of her hair. Justine doesn't wake up, deep in sleep like she's caught in some net. At the same time, the scene cuts and Archer Graff appears. He's that guy who screamed at Justine at the parent-teacher meeting. His son Matthew was one of the 17 missing kids. When Justina went into the liquor shop, he was following her. He was also the one writing on the car with witch paint. He was keeping an eye on Justina day and night because he was fully convinced that Justina is behind this whole accident. Every day he would go to the police station and repeat the same question over and over again. "Did you find my son?" And every time the same answer. Still no update. Exhausted, he sits down to watch his own home CCTV footage. The recording from that night shows Matthew opening the door at exactly 2:17 a.m. and running away in one direction, just like that Naruto run. Archer immediately opens a map of the town, draws a line from his house in the direction Matthew ran. Then he goes to the second victim family, watches their CCTV footage where their daughter Bailey was running away. He draws another line from her house, and both lines intersect at a single point. Archer's heart starts pounding. Now he's sure the children went towards that intersection, and maybe they're somewhere nearby. During this search, Archer suddenly spots Justine. She was filling up her car at a gas station. Archer fills with anger. He goes up and starts shouting at her, blaming her. But just then, a shadow rushes by. It's Principal Marcus. But he doesn't look human anymore. His whole body is covered in blood. His eyes are empty, and he's running like those kids with that Naruto run. He rushes towards Justine, as if possessed by some unseen power. Archer tries to stop him, but seeing Marcus's face, it seems like he only has one goal now, to destroy Justine. Justine manages to run inside the store. Marcus goes in after her to catch her. Archer follows behind. Now both Justine and Archer are trying together to stop Marcus, but his condition was bad. It seemed like he was under some kind of spell. That's when the scene cuts. Then we see Paul at home. His wife Donna was out of town. Early the next morning, Paul went to the police station, where Justine was reporting the witch graffiti on her car. They exchanged glances, a small smile, a quick hi, and then went their separate ways. While Paul was on duty, he saw the drugist James trying to break into a house. Paul chased him down and caught him. Searching James, a needle pricked Paul's finger, probably the same one James used for drugs. In a fit of rage, Paul punched James. But the whole thing was recorded on Paul's dashcam, so if anyone saw the footage, he could be charged with assault and risk losing his job. Paul immediately takes a deep breath and says, "Look, James, I'm letting you go, but you have to promise not to tell anyone about what happened today. And don't ever show your face in this town again." James takes the chance and runs off. Now later on, Paul gets a message from Justine, and they meet at the bar. That's where everything from that night comes together. Next, Paul returns home and is shocked to find his wife, Donna, back from her trip early. It doesn't take her long to figure out what happened, and furious, she confronts Justine at a store and attacks her. Justine manages to escape, and the store owner holds Donna back. Meanwhile, Paul goes back to the station and tells his captain he assaulted James. The captain calmly says if James doesn't file a complaint, not to worry, as the footage will overwrite itself in a month. Relieved, Paul leaves, but spots James approaching from a distance. At this point, the story shifts focus to James, whose life has been plagued by drugs, lies, and theft. On the night Justine bought liquor, James was there begging for cash. Need to steal, James breaks into Alex's house through a window. He goes into the kitchen and starts picking up random things. Some pots, CDs, and some small aluminum items. But just then, his gaze goes toward the sofa where Alex's parents were sitting completely statue-like. Nor any movement, nor any sound, as if caught in some deep trance or hypnosis. James, who had got frightened but was also greedy, he ignoring them directly proceeds toward the basement, and there the sight which was, made his hair stand on end. In the basement stood the 17 missing children, everyone in the same kind of trance state, as if their bodies were alive but their souls were stuck somewhere else. James's breathing becomes fast. He on turning about runs upstairs, but just then, Alex's parents suddenly rise and start to proceed toward him. James somehow gets out of the house by running, having saved his life. While running on the streets, his eyes fell on the posters of the missing children stuck on the walls. Under each poster was written, "Reward $50,000. Greed defeated fear." James immediately calls the police and says, "I know where the children are." The police tell him, if he is not joking then to come to the station and report. He will get the reward. Greedy for money, James moves towards the police station, but as soon as he reaches there, Officer Paul is standing in front. Paul gets furious as soon as he sees him. He shouts, "I told you not to appear in this town again," and then another chase begins. James runs and enters the forest. In the middle of the forest, he sees the same strange clown-like old lady, the same one who used to come in his nightmares, the same one who was calling him, slowly gesturing towards him, as if pulling him towards some unseen secret. In fear and panic, James enters an old tent and hides. After a moment's silence, there's the sound of footsteps outside. The zipper opens slowly. James quickly stabs the person with his injection, but the next second they fall to the ground, and he's shocked to see that it's Officer Paul. If you recall, Justin had called Principal Marcus saying that Alex's house should be legally checked because he suspected something. Marcus remembered that, and that's why the next day he called Alex's parents to the school. At the school, a strange woman arrives whose appearance makes everyone shudder. Red lipstick on a white face, a fake smile painted on her cheeks, and dark circles under her eyes, just like a clown. The woman calls herself Gladys and says she's Alex's aunt. But the scariest part was that that same face, that same clown woman, had also been appearing in the nightmares of Justin, Archer, and even James. Gladys says calmly that Alex's parents are very sick, so they can't come to the school. She came instead of them to meet Principal Marcus. Marcus says, "I'll only meet with Alex's parents." In the next scene, we see Marcus at his house with his friend. Someone rings the doorbell. Marcus opens the door and there stands Gladys. She walks directly into the house without hesitation, as if she lives there. As soon as she sits, she smiles and says, "Can I have a bowl of water?" Marcus and his friend look at each other, confused, but give her the water anyway. Gladys takes the bowl and then takes from her pocket a strange piece of wood, which looked like the stem of a thorny plant. She slowly rubs that wood with her hands and starts mumbling something in a mantra-like voice. In reality, Gladys had the power of hypnosis. She could control anyone she wanted and then use that person to target someone else. At that moment, Gladys sends Marcus against Justin. She had Justin's hair. Through that hair, she activates the connection. As soon as she puts the hair in water, Marcus's eyes roll back. His face hardens, and he slowly becomes a hypnotized machine. Then we see that Marcus runs like Naruto to the gas station, where Justin and Archer were. Without saying a word, he attacks Justin. Everything gets chaotic. Archer gets in the middle, they start fighting. Justin somehow manages to get in the car and escape, but Marcus, who is now completely under Gladys's control, also runs after Justin's car, running in that weird, crooked manner. Archer chases them, and then just as he's crossing the street, a speeding car hits Marcus, killing him right there. Archer and Justin stand stunned. Justin tells Archer, "The house at the intersection point is Alex's house." Hearing this, they both turn the car around and stop in front of Alex's house. They just stare at the house from inside the car, but then the story changes direction again, and this time we see everything from Alex's perspective. The time when no child had disappeared. Alex was a normal kid who lived with his parents every day, went to school and got bullied a bit like other kids. Life was normal until one day his father said, "Son, your mom's Aunt Gladys is coming to stay with us for a few days. She's very sick and has nowhere else to go." As night fell, the doorbell rang. Alex went to the door and there stood Gladys. Her face was wrinkled, her eyes had a strange glitter, and her body was so weak it looked like she could fall at any moment. She came in bringing a strange plant, its roots not dry but thorny, as if coursing with some unknown poison. Then we see Alex going to school as usual, but when school ends, his father doesn't come to pick him up. He walks home alone. The front door is open. He steps inside and sees his parents at the dining table, frozen like stone. No expression, eyes fixed ahead, voices robotic. Alex panics. Gladys appears from behind, but she's no longer that sick old woman. She's young, healthy, and strangely glowing. Alex fearfully asks, "What happened to you?" Gladys smiles. "You just need to understand one thing, dear child, if you tell anyone about us. Your parents won't live." Then she pulls out that same thorny piece of wood, cuts her finger and rubs blood on it. She says some unknown words, and suddenly Alex's parents pick up forks and start attacking their own faces. Alex screams, trying to stop them, but it seemed like they were controlled by someone else. Then Gladys suddenly breaks the wood and puts it in water, and immediately everything stops. Gladys says in a cold voice, "Understand now. If you open your mouth, this is what happens to your parents." From then on, Alex often saw Gladys doing weird rituals in the house. It was the same plant she brought with her. She used its thorny stem to hypnotize people. But to do that, she needed personal items like hair, a piece of clothing, or anything connected to them. With these rituals, she would suck their life energy, drawing it into herself to become young and powerful. The house was no longer a home. It was a living trap where Alex now lived like a machine. He'd go to school in the morning, come home quietly, bring food from the market, and force his sick parents to eat. They would sit at the dining table as if their souls had already left. Meanwhile, Gladys was growing younger every day. Her wrinkles were disappearing, her face was glowing, but this didn't last long. Suddenly, she fell ill again and told Alex, "If you bring me a personal object from everyone in your class, I will make your parents better." And then she would leave. Alex had no other choice. The very next day, he quietly went to school and stole everyone's train labels, those name stickers, from their bags. That night, Gladys began a terrible ritual using those stickers. Exactly at 2:17 a.m., her spell was complete, and then she rang a bell. As it rang, 17 children asleep across the city suddenly woke up and, like sleepwalkers, left their homes. One by one, they went straight to Alex's house and stood in the basement completely silent like statues. These were the 17 children everyone thought was missing. After that, the whole town was in an uproar. There were press conferences, police were searching, but Alex was too scared to say a word. Gladys was everywhere with him, calm, smiling, as if nothing happened. By the time the police arrived, Gladys had wiped every trace of evidence, hid the children in the forest, emptied the basement. As soon as the police left, the children returned and stood in the basement again on Gladys's order. Alex fulfilled his promise, but Gladys didn't. She didn't leave nor free Alex. Now she treated him like a servant. Gradually, Gladys brought Paul and James under her control as well. They too were now under the ritual's spell, like zombies walking corpses. Inside the house, Gladys drew a salt line and strictly told Alex never to cross it. All the timelines, all the perspectives had met at one point, and from here, the story was about to advance in just one direction. Outside the house, Archer and Justine were now standing. Then Paul comes out. He gestures for Justine to come inside. As soon as Justine and Archer cross that salt line, the hypnotized Paul and James attack them. They weren't like people, but like zombies run by some strange power, falling down, getting back up and attacking again. Justine and Archer try to stop them, but no matter how they beat them back, they keep coming. Inside, Justine's eyes held just one thing, a mix of fear and anger. She picks up Paul's gun and without any delay, shoots him straight in the head. Paul dies right there. Justine doesn't stop. The next moment she swings the gun, aims at James's head, and with another boom, he falls too. These scenes make it clear, the only way to stop those under the spell was a headshot. Now Archer heads toward the basement. The silence is deafening. In front of him, the 17 children, all in a trance, like some blind power had stolen their souls. Archer panics and begins looking for his son Matthew. Then Gladys appears from behind. She cuts a lock of Archer's hair and in a moment controls him. Now Archer's eyes are empty, he's a puppet, and he turns to attack Justine. Meanwhile, Alex was in his room, filled with fear and confusion. He crosses the salt line where his possessed parents sat. As soon as he crosses, they suddenly stand up and attack him. Alex runs through the house, down the stairs, and ends up in the room where Gladys did her rituals. He sees the strange plant again. He quickly breaks a stem, grabs a strand of Gladys's hair from her wig, drips his own blood on the twig, and snaps it in half. Actually, Alex had realized her rituals and was using her own rules against her. As the stem breaks, 17 children, who were before frozen in the basement, suddenly wake up and all dash after Gladys. Gladys now starts running away, scared for her life. Behind her, 17 children are chasing her like zombies. The townspeople watch this whole thing. A woman, children chasing her, and chaos everywhere. Finally, at a corner, the children catch her. In the next moment, they all swarm on her, clawing and biting. In just a few seconds, Gladys's body is torn apart, and with that, her hypnotic spell ends. Now Archer awakens. Justine survives too, and since her spell was recent, she recovers quickly. But others, who had been under Gladys's control for a long time, were now like the living dead. Those children, Alex's parents, everyone was just breathing, but life had gone from inside them. Archer finds his son Matthew. Matthew doesn't speak, just stares with vacant eyes. Then we hear that Alex's parents are still alive, but even 2 years later, they aren't the same. They still need to be fed. Alex now lives with his other aunt, who is a normal, good woman. The children are also slowly recovering. Some have started speaking, and showing that point in time, the movie ends there. If you liked this story, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.